We reviewed the 600 Pro, then we reviewed the H100 Pro, now we're at the 900 Max HX. That's right, we're hiking our way up the model lineup. In this video, we're going to unbox and test the 900, which is the flagship, highest end, and coincidentally most expensive offering from RIG, Nacon's headset department, which was acquired from a smaller company called Plantronics. Learned that recently, so you now know it too. But we're going to see what $250 gets you in a headset, and how I think that slots in with its competitors like the Astro A50X and the SteelSeries Arctis Nova Pros. And Turtle Beach's offering as well. That exists too. Let's get it. A quick disclaimer for my audience, the Stallions and Stallionettes, this headset was sent for review. However, this is going to be an honest, comprehensive review. I haven't been paid or told to say anything about it, so if there's any cons, shortcomings, or areas of improvement, you're going to hear about it. So these companies make better products over time. You can only purchase these bad boys from Best Buy. Indeed, there is no Amazon link for the 900. They sell the H100, the 600, all the other joints, but if you want the 900, the flagship, you gotta bring your happy ass down to a brick and mortar Best Buy or just order from Best Buy online. The most sensual place to purchase this headset will be the link in the description below, so the cheapest and most straightforward path to getting this on your head. Something worth noting, this does have a Bluetooth 5.1 card on board, so not 3.0 like the Switch Pro controller, some old outdated technology. As for the packaging and included accessories on the flagship, most expensive model from RIG, despite the fact that it is a licensed Xbox product, there's pretty minimal lime green branding. It is mostly a purple box in comparison to the all green box of the other models. Now HX does denote that this is the Xbox version, as it does have the stamp and sigil. However, it does have universal wireless support for PlayStation, Switch, and PC, but there might be some limitations as those are not the primary platforms. Things like the microphone not working or not getting on-screen notifications popping up. But I am going to test all that functionality and report back to you. A couple of key features of this specific model, only the 8 and 900 will have this little dock or cradle which allows you to charge and also pair up to your console or PC. And despite the fact that Dolby Atmos support starts in the 400 series, I definitely feel like the drivers are more acoustically tuned for real, true Dolby Atmos object positional based surround sound than something like the $50 wired 400 series, which I've listened to, and I'm not going to say it doesn't have Dolby Atmos, but I think this will handle the Dolby Atmos technology, the surround sound protocol, better. That is all I'm going to say on that. Like the previous two models we have reviewed, this does have dual mode connectivity, so you use the 2.4 gigahertz dongle to connect to your PC or console, and then simultaneously you can use Bluetooth to connect to your cell phone or tablet to do things like pick up calls while you still have your game sound playing quieter in the background. Now, if this is anything like the previous models, this base station does not have an aux out or a 3.5mm jack, so you are not going to have support for mixers or audio interfaces like the TC Helicon Go XLR, so that is a huge deal breaker for a lot of content creators who are going to be limited to 4 or 5 headsets, the Astro A50 and then a few in the model lineup from SteelSeries. This also does tout an insane 50 hours of battery life. However, since this doesn't have a hot swappable battery, you technically don't have indefinite or infinite battery life since you always have a second battery on standby. A little feature that my daily driver cans, the Arctis Nova Pro wireless, have, and I absolutely love. This uses the same size 40mm drivers, little wafer sticker on top that will need sliced. Getting ahead of myself here. If you wanted to pause the box to read some of the key features, a little pinch and zoom action, you may do so now. So it was extremely hard to get this headset out of its very basic minimalistic packaging. You've got some egg carton in here, not really what I expected for a $250 flagship headset. All the documentation was shoved all nilly-willy in the bottom of the box, and this little piece of cardboard for the base station was kind of cockamamie wedged in there at an angle, so not a good first impression. A little more physical documentation than I'd like to see or is necessary. There could just be a little placard with a QR code that takes you to a PDF document, full color pictures where you can pinch and zoom on your phone, but it is nice to have a physical instruction manual like this quick start guide. But you've got all this other shit as well, such as stickers, because it's not a gaming peripheral without them, and then the other giblets that nobody ever reads, things like the Consumer Electronic Regulatory Information. There was one more placard hiding at the bottom of the box, and this is reminding you to download Dolby Atmos, as this is an authorized Dolby Atmos device. Whether it's a soundbar, surround sound headset, as long as it's Dolby Atmos approved, you will be able to download the software program to push that virtual surround. Now, it is of course already installed on my computer because I'm a Dolby Atmos boy, but we are going to do a full virtual surround sound test with this headset later. The quick start guide, aka your instruction manual, which I put a little rip and tear in, is actually identical to the other models. I mean, obviously the text on there will be a little bit different explaining the features, but the layout is identical. Got your base station covered in a heap of plastic. A couple things I noticed that I don't like right off Jump Street. First of all, gloss or piano black is going to collect fingerprints and micro scratches like nobody's business. I know I use that exact same verbiage or combination of words every time I encounter piano black. The problems don't change. I mean, look, this already has manufacturing defects on it just coming to me. Now, I do like that this is clearly labeled with bright yellow. Hey man, stick the USB port right here to dock this son of a gun. You have the 4 metal charging pins, which sure enough cradle to charge the headset. You finally have USB-C as opposed to micro USB. You do have an LED status light on the front, which does look a little bit cheap when it's not on. Same thing with this plastic in the front, not the most satisfying to stare at. And you do have 4 rubberized feet on the bottom, which do a pretty good job of keeping this from sliding around. You are going to have your 2.4 gigahertz dongle, which is going to be the preferred method of going wireless with this headset over Bluetooth. The Bluetooth is just for your phone and tablet. This is going to be for your gaming apparatuses, such as your PC or consoles. Speaking of which, this does feel nicer than the included dongle on the cheaper entry-level models. However, still not fantastic. Really light, pretty big seam where the 2 pieces meet. You do have a slider or toggle on the side, console or computer, and then you also have a pairing mode if you come unpaired from the headset, and a little smoky dust cover as well. 2 things I don't like about this dock is, first of all, you cannot switch the toggle from PC to gamepad mode with the dongle installed. You need to remove it, and that brings me to my second point. It's very hard to get out. I can't even do it with one hand. Fuck me, I could barely do it with 2 hands for that matter, but yeah, the fact that you have to remove this to switch from PC to console mode if you're going to be using this little cradle. Granted, a lot of people won't even use this if they're connecting to console. They'll just plug this into one of the USB ports on their console. Now, I absolutely despise the way that rig headsets are thrown in here. Oh boy, look at that. Those ear cups are connected, dangling and hangling from wires. Now, granted, these are pretty light because they're 40mm and all plastic, but this just isn't the most satisfying presentation, and I understand exactly why Nacon does this, and that's because they have this pretty bad adjustment design with these 3 steps of adjustment. So in order for you to understand how to adjust it yourself, they leave the ear cups out, so you have to pop them in. Kind of dumb. Little USB-C cable for charging. It's extremely disappointing. About 3 foot, if that. Rubber, not microfiber or braided. No dust covers, and no Velcro tie back that will stay connected. Now, with this little piece of documentation, the snap fit guide, it's going to explain what noggin or cranium you have that should drop into one of these 3 steps of adjustment. If not, you're pretty much screwed, although you do have this little retention strap on the 900 model, which does give you a little bit more fine tuning of the size adjustment, but this is a terrible design. Also, build quality wise, I will say that the plastics are thinner and cheaper feeling than even their entry-level models. And along those lines, I don't know if it's for weight reduction, you know, same thing when you rip off your bumper and say it's for weight reduction. This definitely does feel worse than some of their cheaper entry-level models. Not to mention, cosmetically, it doesn't look great either. It's already collecting a lot of fingerprint oils up here on this matte black. And if I spend $250 on a gaming headset and I pull it out of a chunk of cardboard and the driver's hanging like this, I'm already not smiling very largely. This does feel like a pretty light set of cans. In fact, we were looking at 294 grams. Confirm that again, 294 grams. So very light, and that will help with the comfort. However, build quality wise, this just doesn't feel the most confidence inducing. And all in all, this has the same fit and finish and build quality vibes as their $50, $70, $90 headsets. So you don't get that little punch to your palm saying, hey,
big boy. Hey, how you doing?
You just got yourself a flagship premium headset. Cosmetically though, I will say it is pretty classy and understated. No huge lime green on the sides, just black with a little bit of brushed silver on the top. So I think that'll go with a lot of people's themes or setups in their game rooms. It's not really tickling my fancy. I don't know if it's because of these fake rivets over here, or the large rig branding there and there, or the insane amount of wrinkles around these ear cups. Looks like an old man's balls. I'm personally, and I don't know why I said it like that, me personally, wiggly finger of judgment over here, I am going to give these bad boys a 5 out of 10, right down the middle, a pretty mid-grade for cosmetics, also like a 5 out of 10 for build quality as well. As for adjustment, it's a pretty sad story on the Nacon rig headsets, all of them, because they have these 3 levels of adjustment, small, medium, or large size head, which in comparison to all other headsets, which usually expand with some kind of a ratchet design, whether it's a linear expansion or there's little notches or steps, you have a lot more adjustment than this design. I will say the saving grace with this particular model, the 900 and 800, is that they have this little retention strap, which does remind me of some of the SteelSeries headsets, which does give you a little bit more support. However, this is so light that when you put it on your head, it's just going to push all the way to the top of the frame. So don't really rely on this for fine-tuning your adjustment. You're just going to be choosing from these 3 steps over here, making adjustment a minimal or abysmal. Now, as far as customization, there are no accessories or color pop kits available on the rig website, and if you get your ear cups janked up or sticky and you want to change them out, it is possible to do so, and there are third-party replacements on Amazon. However, this shitty design where you have this plastic trough that you need to get started around, getting them off isn't a pain, but getting them back on is a real smack in the sack. And I will say it is incredibly disappointing that a $250 flagship headset isn't using magnetized quick swap ear cups. As for comfort, as with all rig models, if you're lucky enough to have a head that fits into one of the sizes of these 3 notches or steps, these are actually really comfortable headsets. That comes down to a couple of factors. First of all, in comparison to Astro, SteelSeries, shit, any of the competitors I can think of, these are very light headsets. And the second one is going to be the stock ear cups with this mesh synthetic breathable material, very supple on the skin and also gets a nice seal, providing a good amount of passive noise cancellation. So not powered active noise cancellation, but just by getting a good seal on your ears. So pretty comfortable, although I will say there's a little bit more clamping force than the 600, which I just reviewed, the $100 entry-level wireless multi-platform headset. And I think a lot of that's because there's a little bit more pressure on this retention strap, which doesn't exist on that $100 headset. Your only adjustment is with these 3 steps right here. So less adjustment because you don't have this strap, but overall more comfort, I would say. Yeah, you would get used to the feeling of having that additional pressure on the top of your head pretty quickly, but initial impressions, that cuts into comfort negatively a little bit. These ear cups are an absolute dream though. You get a good seal, and most importantly, if you're somebody that gets hot, sweaty ears in long gaming sessions, this should mitigate that because they're very breathable while still getting a good seal, so you don't have a lot of sound bleeds. If you're blaring music next to somebody, they don't really know what you're listening to. But comfort, as long as this fits your noggin properly, is going to be 7 out of 10. However, if it doesn't fit your head properly, it's going to be like a 4 out of 10. Now, as far as your ports, plugs, and controls, everything is handled on the left ear cup, which I really like. There should be no controls on the other ear cup, so you don't have to memorize there's a certain button and dial on the right and something else on the left. It's just easier for your noggin to remember that everything is on one ear cup or the other. But luckily, all gaming headsets have been pushing to putting all the controls, plugs, and ports on one ear cup. Your power button, which I'm not a huge fan of the cosmetics, it being red, I wish it was black or gray. I think it'd look a little bit more sleek, but you're going to hold it down for 2 seconds and you're going to see that status LED light illuminate. You'll also get a female voice letting you know, power on. Then your battery life, full battery. And then if you're paired, USB dongle inserted. You have your USB-C port for charging, which again, 2 hours through this port, 4 hours through the dock. And then you have your volume wheel, which has a nice resistance, feels very satisfying to spin, except it is an infinitely spinning dial wheel. It doesn't top out at 100, bottom out at 0 with a nice distinct notch at the 50% or halfway mark. It just spins and spins, and you might get a little chime or beep, or the female voice will let you know volume maximized, but this should absolutely top out and bottom out. This Bluetooth button is going to switch between your 3 wireless modes, USB dongle, Bluetooth 5.1, and then dual mode connectivity, which you're probably going to want to leave it in if you want to actually use the dual mode feature, which is pretty cool. If you're in Bluetooth or dual connectivity mode, you are going to have some call controls assigned to this button. Press it once to accept or end a call, or hold it down for 3 seconds to decline a call that's incoming, or activate your voice assistant when no call's incoming. And when no call is active, you can press it to play and pause your media, your music. However, that's kind of weird because on the other models, you can hold it down and it will skip to tracks. That doesn't work on this one. It's just play and pause. You might be wondering what this is for. You can actually remove this head strap, but there's no reason to ever mess with this. It's kind of a bitch to get back in, and you can't wash these or anything because it's connected via this cable. So this is pointless, and just don't mess with this. Now, a cool little feature when you're connected to Xbox with that dongle, if you press the call center button, it will switch you from volume control with this dial to chat game blend, so you can adjust your buddies yelling obscenities in Discord and you clapping cheeks in your game. Press it again to go back to volume control. Last but certainly not least, on the left ear cup you do have a microphone, which is swivel up to mute, and does feel much better build quality wise than the previous models. This is a nice rubberized material, and I'm hopeful the audio quality is better as well. Mic test later in this video. Now, you do not have any kind of an LED indicator to let you know when you're muted, however, swivel it up so you know that you're muted when you don't see the side of your peripherals. As for battery life on the set of cans, you are getting an advertised 50 hours of playback on 2 hours of charge time, but that's only if you use the included USB-C cable on the bottom of the headset. If you drop it into the cradle, it's going to take double the time at 4 hours, which is just interesting. I don't think that's too big of a deal considering 50 hours is an astronomically long playback time, and at the end of your gaming session, you can just drop this bad boy into the cradle, and hopefully if it seats correctly, you come back the next day and she's 100% charged. Now, if it doesn't seat correctly, which it seems to drop in perfectly every time, but if for some reason it doesn't seat and you come back the next day and your headset's dead, you're definitely going going to hope for a hot swappable battery option like SteelSeries goes with. I do think that's a better option considering you always have a battery in the cradle that's ready to go. So even if you're only getting 15 hours of battery life with each of those batteries, you still have one constantly ready to hot swap, as opposed to this option where if you accidentally forget to charge them, they could still be dead for you. Although 2 hours of charge time will get you back up to that 50 hours. There really is no setup on the PC side of the house, at least for Windows. Is there even Mac support for this? I don't think there is. I'll pop up on screen here for my Apple brethren. But this was plug and play, and one of the things I really do enjoy is the dial wheel. The volume scroll does actually control Windows volume, which is fantastic. It does take a little bit of getting used to the placement of that button because of these drivers. The size of them, they're large, bulky, and square with kind of a drop off in the back. So it takes a little getting used to as to where to position your thumb to land on that dial wheel every time. I love the resistance that it takes to move it, to scroll it. I just don't like that it doesn't bottom out or top out.
So this is a microphone test with the Rig 900HX, and interestingly enough, as you can see, this is supposed to be swivel to mute. However, on PC side of the house, it just runs indefinitely. Swiveling it up does not mute. Let's put her down. How now, brown cow? Unique New York. In Call of Duty, my gun goes pitter patter, pit pat pow. I'm on pickle patrol with Patricia. Little test of the semblance, those harsh S's. Sandy sells seashells down by the seashore and also sells her sentimental secrets to scumbums, scallywags, and those sailors. All right, let's talk a little bit quiet, see if there's any compressor action going on to amplify my quiet sounds, and then also minimize it when I start raging. Reload, cover me. Let's listen to that back.
Okay, so you've got ears and an opinion. How did that sound? For me personally, I think it sounded pretty good for a headset because generally headsets don't have the most optimal audio quality. If you're on the PC side of the house, you're probably going to want to get yourself a boom arm with a little USB or XLR microphone. But for just being calmed up with your boys on the console so you can let them know where to slap the enemies, actually works really good. You get a little bit of bass in your voice, a little bit of fullness, a dynamic range if you shall, but it still sounds like you're talking in a tin can because it's a little tiny mic in front of your suck hole. And yeah, there's only a handful of headsets that have like a good quality boom microphone, that being like the Razer Black Shark, my daily driver, the SteelSeries Nova Pro Wireless, whatever Yong uses on his channel. That's a good headset mic. Something I don't like, I just noticed it right now as I'm shooting the review for you, moving into the next segment. This doesn't swivel at all, so you can't really rest these ear cups flat on your chest. These don't rotate at all, not only like this, but like this. And also doing the old stress or flex test, I gotta stop right about here because it feels like this thing is gonna snap in half. Not good, because generally with headsets, you can just straight up bend those shits in half. And because of the soft, supple, flexible plastics, there's minimal risk of it snapping in your hand. Not so much the case with the Rig 900 over here. We're gonna run the Dolby Atmos demonstration, which gives you a visual representation of object-based virtual surround. So that's exactly what Dolby Atmos is, as opposed to having a 5.1 or 7.1 audio track, front left, right rear. With Dolby Atmos, it can be hundreds of individual objects in games or movies, a plane flying by or a cricket crawling on your toes. All of those can have different volumes and positions. It's phenomenal. It is actually my favorite surround sound technology in existence as of current. Windows Sonic and THX Spatial. What's the one that the Haymaker had? Oh god, I can't think of it right now. Put it in right here. And this headset does support Dolby Atmos. However, we want to check to make sure that it is engaged before we start this demo. Now, just because you own a Dolby Atmos surround sound system, soundbar, or headset doesn't mean it's going to automatically be up and running. Especially on the PC side of the house, there is a couple steps you need to do. First of all is install this application, which is in the Microsoft Store. It's called Dolby Access. Now, I do have this pinned to the taskbar for easy access. Click on Next, get started. Now, behind my head, there is a skip option if you don't want to sign up or register. And if you have a licensed Dolby product connected to your PC, you're going to see it pop up here, right here in the top right, Rig 900 Max. And you're going to have some control of your headset within this application. Click on Settings. Now, by default, performance mode is going to be engaged. Now, if you turn off this toggle, it is going to unlock these equalizer settings. If you want a typical S curve, a little bit of a bass boost, then a little bit of peak treble or highs. Then if you want a flat, natural, organic, non-enhanced equalizer, you can select off over here. But if you're going to do that, you might as well just select performance mode, which gives you more of a stereo spread for that competitive gaming. Now, the cool thing is this is settings for just playing games. So when your headset realizes that you're playing a game, if you're watching a movie, you're going to have a separate equalizer. If you're listening to those hot bops, separate equalizer. Voice, that's going to be you talking out of your mic. And there is also 3 custom presets with a 10-band equalizer, good visual representations of the frequency on the horizontal line, and then the decibels, the loudness on this vertical bar. The only thing I really advise here is to leave sound virtualizer on. Awesome. Last thing I want to check is down here in Windows settings. Right click on your volume, click on sound settings, and then in output, which is your speakers, go ahead and click on your Rig headset. And in the audio enhancements drop down, leave device default selected and then this drop down, by default, Windows Sonic will be selected, which is the default surround for Xbox consoles and Windows PCs, but for the love of God, once you've installed Dolby Atmos, just select that here. Now we're ready to run this sexual demo. Best experience with headphones. And as it's playing, it's showing me positional sound of where that object is moving, so I can kind of close my eyes and compare. Yes, it does feel like it's in front of me and to the left. And at any time, you can toggle to stereo sound, so typical 2.1 stereo left and right, which makes a tremendous difference. Then you click back to Dolby Atmos. I don't know why I said it like that. Atmos. I've got a little moss on your bark. I have thoughts that I will be sharing in just a sec. Let's check out the sound bleed. Can you hear what I'm listening to? Because I'm blaring this shit.
You're more than just circuits, Murphy. Underneath all that metal, there's still you.
Alex Murphy is gone.
Have a look, shall we?
Police badge number 6942 is serving a warrant.
Justice never sleeps.
Get cuffed or get popped, your choice. Have a nice trip. See you next fall. My dear Lord. Messy. I got the same sweet PDF document pulled open for the warranty. All of Nacon's peripherals, keyboards, mice, headsets, controllers, whatever the hell they might dabble in, has 1 year of coverage in North America, Australia, and New Zealand. And if you're in a happier place of the world, consumer electronic-wise, such as Europe and the UK, you do have 2 years of coverage. As for the software suite or application, it is going to be the Rig 900 Max Navigator, which is available on the iOS or Android Google Play Store. It does have 2.5 out of 5 stars from 5 customers, which is better than the 2 out of 5 from 7 unhappy customers for the Rig 600. Now, both of these are mobile phone only. There is no console or PC applications, which does suck. Now, some more knowledge was bestowed upon my noggin since my 600 review, and I learned how to actually engage that software. Now, first of all, you do need to pair via Bluetooth at the system level of your phone, so you can't just pop open the application and pair your headset. You actually need to open up your Bluetooth settings, long press on an iPhone, bam, Bluetooth settings, yes sir. Furthermore, a fun little quirk that's actually a little bug or glitch that's going to get massaged out with a future patch or update. This information is directly from the manufacturer, and currently you have to be in Bluetooth mode only with these bad boys to pair up to your phone. So if you're using that multi-mode connectivity with the dongle and Bluetooth, for the initial pairing, you do need to put the headset into Bluetooth only mode for it to be recognized by your phone, then go into the settings of your phone, pair via Bluetooth through there, and then pair to the application. Now, to put the headset in Bluetooth discoverable mode, hold down the Bluetooth button for 6 seconds, and you will see your phone recognized in your phone if all the stars align and everything works as it should. Now, you're going to have a pop-up asking you Bluetooth permission on your device. Make sure you authorize that, or else, well, it's not going to work for you. Boom, you are going to have a tutorial. I'm gonna start screen sharing, so it's going to pop up right here so you can see what I'm seeing through these ocular cavities, shall we? You do start out at a nice little tutorial screen. I'm going to go ahead and skip that because we don't read the instruction manuals around here. We're going to learn hands-on, a little OJT on the job training, if you will. The very first thing you want to do is that initial update, as it is available. Now, it's going to tell you some caveats here. Unplug your dongle. Don't be a fucking quitter. Never, ever turn off your phone. Along those lines, since your phone shouldn't shut off, make sure you have a proper charge on that bad boy, or you're tethered to the charger. Okay, it's kind of fucking slow. Also, it should be somewhat common sense, but you do want to keep your phone close to the headset, at least within the same room, considering this is what's providing the update to the headset. Okay, upon completion, it is going to be hung up at 100% for quite some time. That's because it was waiting for the headset to restart. I just heard the voice assistant say power on, pushing through with the update in just a minute here. Okay, good. Paired back to the phone. Boom, headset is up to date. Radical. So we're going to get out of this update tab at the bottom and go over here to home, and you are going to see your headset with a nice little visual representation. Also, you are going to see that it is currently at 47%. I don't know why it has an electrical bolt next to it. I would think that means it's charging. It is not charging. You do have 3 profiles you can set up. We are in the default, and you can also rename the device itself. So if you want to name it, you know, Brad's headset or Christina's headset or whatever, go for it, Brad and Christine. But we're going to go down here to the settings cog at the very bottom, and they have a diagnostic tool. So if you're having any issues where you think a driver's out or a button stuck in or something, test mode here. Back in the homepage, we are going to click on customization, and this is where you're going to spend the majority of your time. You do have expert mode, which is going to give you a more advanced visual representation of what you're doing. I actually like the expert or advanced mode. But here's the user-friendly mode, pretty little front end. Boom, there we can actually see what we're doing here, the decibels of our microphone gain. So if you're too hot or too quiet, adjust that here. Mic monitoring, so if you want to hear yourself back in the headset. I absolutely hate it, but if you want it, boom. Volume level protection basically minimizes your maximum volume. Why? Why cap yourself? Why limit no, fuck conserving your hearing. If you screw anything up, you can reset the profile here, and we're going to move on to the equalizer tab, where you are going to have a 10-band equalizer, nice visual representation at the top here of the frequency, and then at the bottom it shows you the volume, so what decibel you're at. I kind of like this, and it actually gives you a real nice little visual representation as to what you're doing. Now they do have some easy presets at the top with this little drop down, such as FPS, which is going to boost up where footsteps should be in the mid-range, you sneaky sneaker, but I'm going to run no equalizer for that flat signature organic sound. Clicking on the additional tab, you are going to have a choice of what mode do you want to boot into when you turn on your headset. I want dual mode. Give it the full beans, everything it can give me. And if you're sick of that lady whispering in your ear, power on, battery 60 percentile, you can turn that broad off here, as well as the beeps, chimes, and tones. But keep in mind, since the volume wheel infinitely scrolls, that little beeparoo is going to be the only telltale that you're maxed out or bottomed out. If you're on Windows, you'll have the volume bar on the monitor as well. So I will say, if you get up and running with the application as we've done here, it's actually pretty decent for a phone app. Works pretty good.
It's good.
Now, I'm not going to spend much time on the website looking at their model lineup. All I want to point out is it's very easy to follow. Everything's in numerical value, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 9, and jumping in price point about $30 to $40 from model to model. The only point of confusion in the model lineup could be the 6 and 700 are both $100 US and are both wireless headsets. The 600 Pro has dual connectivity mode, and this is an ultralight headset. So pick and choose. Do you want a lighter headset, or do you want one that has more features? I'll take a little bit more weight from that Bluetooth wireless 5.1 and go for the 600 personally. Also, I think the 600 looks better than the 700. But we're down here with the 900 Max, and it is indeed the maximum. The flagship at $250. But if you scroll your happy ass down here to the features, you're going to see a couple of key notable features that other flagship competitors have that the rig is simply missing out on, such as ANC or active noise cancellation, which a lot of gamers don't give a shit about anyway, but it's not here. And also a hot swappable battery, so you basically have infinite battery life. Also, there's no aux out or 3.5mm port on the back of the base station, so you cannot use this with a mixer or audio interface. The app is only on Android and iOS as opposed to PC and consoles, which the competitors have apps for. Your game and chat balance mode is only on Xbox, not PC, Switch, or PlayStation. And the included ear cushions, while phenomenal, aren't the smoothest to hot swap because they have that little plastic trough and aren't magnetized. Something else to note, because I've never talked about it previously, other than headsets, Rig also does offer earbuds. Now notice that these are labeled as earbuds, not IEMs or in-ear monitors, which I know is a huge talking point in the gaming world right now. Are IEMs better than over-the-ear cans? Video coming in the near future, because there are definitely pros and cons to both, for sure. But they only have one model. It's the 200s, and it's for PlayStation 5 and PS4. I'm assuming it'll also work on PC. Yeah, or anything with a 3.5mm jack. Jack yourself off. As for the pros, cons, and verdict, we're going to start with the cons, shortcomings, or limitations with the 900HX. First of all, despite the fact there is a good resistance and overall feel to that volume dial wheel, I would really like if it topped out and bottomed out with a little notch at the 50% or halfway mark. The software suite, or application if you will, is only available on phone. Next up, the lack of adjustment, just having those 3 steps and then that retention strap really isn't the best. However, if it does work for you, it's a very comfortable headset. I know we're still in the cons section. The microphone, I wish had an LED indicator to let you know that you're muted, and also on the PC side of the house, when you flip it up, it doesn't actually mute. It just becomes shitty audio quality because it's far away from your mouth, but it's not muted. The ear cups can be swappable, although they're not magnetized, and I would really prefer if they were an easier process to get on and off instead of having to get them started on that little plastic trough. The overall unboxing presentation, the way your ear cups are hangling and dangling by the cables when you pick it up, not a great experience. The next con is going to be that base station. I hate the piano black and the overall size and appearance of that cradle dock. I do like how easy it is to cradle. It does seat correctly every time, which is nice, but the main con here is there is no 3.5 millimeter aux out, so you cannot use this with a Go XLR or any kind of a USB interface or mixer. Next up, there is no ANC or active noise cancellation. Next up, battery life is phenomenal at 50 hours. However, what's even better in my personal opinion is having a secondary battery included with a charger dock or cradle, so one is always charging and you can hot swap that when you're low on battery, in essence giving you infinite battery life. The next con is the lack of adjustment, not only in not being able to pull up and down, but also you cannot swivel the ear cups in or out. So from a comfort standpoint, that's not great. I'm bumping into my jaw here. The included USB-C cable, which granted is only for charging, is a piece of trash. But moving on to the pros department, what does this headset do? Good. First of all, it is freakishly comfortable. As long as your head fits size-wise, it's super comfortable. That comes down to the weight and also the included ear cups. These will keep your ears freakishly cool, but you also get that side feature, since these have a little pleather leatherette section, that it seals in the sound really well so you don't really get any noise bleed. So it's kind of a hybrid. You get the best of both worlds, a leather or pleatherette option, or a mesh breathable option. The microphone sounded pretty good, pretty decent for what it is, a built-in microphone on a headset. Not great, not terrible either. Battery life at 50 hours with 2 hours of charge time, as long as you're using the USB-C port, not the cradle, is really long. Although granted, like I mentioned in the cons, a hot swappable battery is better, IMO. Two of the biggest pros, and we're going to rattle them off back to back, is first of all, that multi-mode connectivity, being able to Bluetooth to your phone while being connected with the dongle. Awesome. And the next one is going to be multi-platform support. Granted, you do miss out on a little bit of functionality on all the consoles except for Xbox, but the fact that you can use this headset, core fundamentals are there. It sounds good and whatnot on PlayStation, Switch, Xbox, and PC. Just get one headset and use them across all your devices. That's awesome. Cosmetically, the styling, this is probably the best looking rig headset that I've seen. Some of the models have lime green trim or a little bit too gaudy or flashy. This is nice. And the last pro is we move right on into audio quality, probably the second most important factor of a headset, comfort being the foremost. I will say this headset absolutely has some very thick bass, artificially pumped in bass, even with the equalizer and its flat curve. Well, it's not a curve if it's flat, but this particular headset is tuned to have very thick bass, more so than Beats, Sony, Bose, or Turtle Beach, or any headset that I've used. The bass is very thick right out of the gate, so much to where you might actually want to taper it back a little bit manually in the equalizer. It's that thick to where it kind of drowns out everything else. You're kind of sucking down a big bowl of bass soup, and the bass really does drown out some of the mid-range and even high-end frequencies. It just kind of engulfs all of the sound, in my personal opinion. Now, that's not too bad for music, especially the kind of music that I typically listen to, hip-hop, dubstep, electronic, things with a nice meaty bass line to slap you around. Sounded good for all of that. However, when I went to watch YouTube videos or dive into my editing software and edit my own videos, I know how my voice is supposed to sound through my headset and also through my speakers here on my desk, and by golly, I sounded a little bit not like the Kevin that we know. Also watched a couple of YouTube videos from channels that I watch frequently, and they sounded weird as well. I think that's because of that artificial S-curve with the high bass. It makes everything sound a little weird and not what you're used to. But that's just for multimedia, music and movies, YouTube videos, stuff like that. Gaming, these actually sounded phenomenal, but you have to make sure that you engage that Dolby Atmos. On your Xbox console, which is very easy to do, you go into settings, audio, and then in the drop-down, Windows Sonic will be selected by default as your virtual surround, and you're going to switch that to Dolby Atmos, which will be supported as long as this headset's connected. If not, you actually need to purchase a license. But with that Dolby Atmos virtual surround sound, this headset sounded phenomenal. Gameplay-wise, never got distorted, even at high volumes, and I never had it maxed out. In fact, I only touched about 70-80%, and it was more than I wanted, which is really good because I just reviewed the 600HX, and I mentioned that at 100%, I was still craving about 30% more volume. Not an issue with the 900 over here, and in gameplay, it sounds phenomenal. Situational awareness, stereo spread, not only side to side, but also some verticality. So again, just to summarize, for music, videos, multimedia, I do think the bass is a little bit thick. In fact, it engulfs the rest of the frequency band, but for gameplay, it just sounds phenomenal, especially with Dolby Atmos engaged. So do I think this is a good headset at $250? Because at that price point, you're in the flagship. You're looking at things like the Astro A50Xs, the SteelSeries Arctis Nova Pro Wireless, my daily drivers, the Turtle Beach Stealth Ultra Pro, I believe it's called. Stealth something in the name. I've reviewed it right there. I personally do think the sound quality quality is a little bit lackluster in comparison to the A50Xs from Astro, as well as the SteelSeries Arctis Nova Pros. These do sound a little bit better than Turtle Beach's flagship offering currently, and overall I like this more than Turtle Beach's flagship headset, but I would rank this below the A50Xs and for sure the SteelSeries Arctis Nova Pros. But I will say, as long as these fit your head, these are actually more comfortable than all the competitors. It's about tied with my daily drivers, but I'd say it's more comfortable than the Astros. So it's got the comfort in the bag, but the sound quality is a little bit lackluster in comparison to those flagship competitors. 1-year warranty, that's pretty standardized, but I wish the battery solution was swappable. I do wish the dial wheel bottomed and topped out, and I definitely wish the base station had an aux out so I could use it with my mixer. Having said that, I would still land with my SteelSeries just because I like the profile, the appearance of them, because I like that low profile, sleek appearance. It's also more customizable, has a hot swappable battery, active noise cancellation, has a killer software program on the PC as opposed to none, and has better multi-platform support, i.e. my mic works, everything works as it should on all the consoles as opposed to this not working so good on the PlayStation side of the house. However, this is not a bad headset. Like I mentioned, freakishly comfortable, one of the most comfortable headsets I've tested, as long as your head size falls in with one of those 3 notches or steps. Looks good, sounds good, has Dolby Atmos support. That's fucking awesome. Well, I've done my job of giving you the pros and cons of it. Now it's up to you to make a decision on it, I guess, because I keep saying the SteelSeries is a better headset, but it's a $330 headset. This is a $250 headset. Granted, they're both hell of expensive, and once you're already in that price point, you kind of just want the best of the best at that point. It is linked in the description below. Drop in the comment section below what you're using in the headset department, or if you're using IEMs or in-ear monitors, those fancy buds. And I will see you Stallions and Stallionettes tomorrow. Peace. If you enjoyed the video, liking it helps it to get seen by more gamers, so this information will reach and assist them as well. Much like the back of the TV, I've got plugs for all of my socials down there in the description below. And your wallet will greatly thank you if you check the description, because there are exclusive discounts on a ton of products, including controllers, KontrolFreeks, keyboards, mouse pads, clothes, and energy drinks. And keep in mind that you, the viewer, keep this channel running. The more Stallions and Stallionettes trotting around the stable, the better, so mollywop that subscribe button like it owes you money, and we'll have the same amount of fun tomorrow.